Because I think the critical thing for Florida, we could talk about the rushing defense, we could talk about the offense, we could talk about all these different dynamics, what they're going to look like against Blake Baker, how is DJ Lagway going to handle the pressure. They are not winning this game if they're going to be as undisciplined as they looked against USF. Florida traveling to Death Valley. Death Valley at night. Florida goes to Death Valley after they lose to USF. What do we think is going to happen? Instantly, you're probably going to go, yeah, LSU's going to beat them by 20. LSU lost to them last year. LSU, the last time I believe they've played Florida in Death Valley was the game where Jane Daniels put like 600 all-purpose yards all on his shoulders. The game that basically solidified the Heisman. I think a lot of people are kind of writing this game off, kind of saying, well, this is Billy Napier's last stand, maybe. And I begin to wonder, could this be one of those things where I talked about it before earlier in today's show? Wounded animal mode. When you get punched in the mouth, do you end up folding and playing your worst game ever after what you thought was going to be your worst game? Or do you end up playing the best game of your life the very following week? I think Florida's capable of winning this game. Would I bet hard-earned American currency on it? No. I would not do that. But is Florida, of course, capable of winning this game is something that people really do not talk enough about. They kind of brush it off like, yeah, Florida could win it, but LSU's going to win this game. They're the better team. And what I point to is LSU, yes, got that win on the road against Clemson. How's Clemson looked? We have gotten more data of these teams. Is it a lot of data? No. But we've also gotten more data, and maybe Clemson is not what we thought they were. I mean, hell, I had them number 1 going into this year, and I've dropped them very far out of my top 10 because I've gotten new information. You could say I'm just being reactionary. Yeah, I'm reacting to what's in front of the, and Clemson has not looked good. That's just the facts. So what if Clemson's not that great and that win that LSU had isn't as impressive? Maybe LSU is a little bit closer to the sun than what they end up being, which is maybe they're the 8th best team in the country. Maybe they're a little vulnerable in a couple areas that we thought they could be vulnerable in, and Clemson didn't exploit it. Because I think the critical thing for Florida, we could talk about the rushing defense, we could talk about the offense, we could talk about all these different dynamics, what they're going to look like against Blake Baker, how is DJ Lagway going to handle the pressure. They are not winning this game if they're going to be as undisciplined as they looked against USF. Because that's how great coaches beat you. We're not going to make the mistakes, you are. And Billy Napier, he's done all the right things internally, bringing in talent, bringing in a good coaching staff, building a culture internally. Everyone has raved about Billy Napier. When you get onto that campus and on that practice field, everything is right. Right in line with what Alabama and Nick Saban and Kirby Smart do at Georgia. But when we get to the football field, and I said this before the season, that the play calling and what happens on game day is what concerns me the most about Florida, and it popped up against USF. And what happened last year? They've played Miami, and they got boat raced. Played Texas A&M, they got boat raced. Both at home. But then they have moments, what we saw at the end of last year. So we know the floor, we know the ceiling. I think a lot of people are kind of ignoring that the ceiling is a thing that can happen. Now, am I going to sit here and pick LSU to lose this football game? No, I'm not. This is an LSU team that I think is on a mission towards a national championship. And I don't have the faith that in a road matchup, one of the toughest environments at night in the country, if not the toughest, I would argue probably the toughest, that you're all of a sudden going to be way more disciplined than you were at home. Spitting on somebody, dumb penalties. That's what's going to end up losing that football game. And it's what did against USF. It's probably what's going to stop them against LSU. Because the heartbreaking thing is they're probably going to play a much more cleaner game in terms of execution of plays. But I fully expect Florida to shoot themselves in the foot time and time again.